Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper's Viperland, and it's been a little while, but we're back. We've got some hacking Great Ace Attorney. We left off in a wax museum, and we've discovered the wax maker. So yeah, let's have a chat with it. The waxworks. Did you make all these waxworks, madame? Two spells, I forgot her name. What the hell? All this time, didn't think about what voice I'd give her at all. Yeah. This is anyway. I did! I'm the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh. It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. Though that is, when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to this astonishing lifelessness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. Now, it depends on how hard you kicked him, I guess. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people in which they are modeled. In the hours immediately following their execution, that is the secret to the extraordinary lifelessness. Oh. Cool. That sounds terrifying. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. Most walks of life don't have to sculpt a wax sculpture of somebody in the hours following their execution for it to come out good. Also, does that mean you can only sculpt good sculptures of people who have been murdered? Or found guilty of a crime and put to death? To carry out one's trades par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. Sure, my exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see. Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? Do not fear. Sorry. This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope. It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it. Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things. Yeah, you know, perhaps, but you know, whatever. It's too late now. He will clearly adjust, you know. The Great Detective Waxwork. What's the situation with that? Ah, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madam, what these sparse exhibits needs is the addition of a world-famous great detective. That's it, that's all. Or words to that effect. Naturally, I'm well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it. Yes, the creme de la creme, so I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. Also got a new water bottle for Christmas, so... I'm almost out of this, I got other drinks. But sadly, we were unable to agree to terms. Let me guess. Someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services. For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment. I appreciate that Sholmes, great detective though he is, clearly does not understand how wax sculptures are made. At all. Not even a little. Or words to that effect. Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead. Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing, though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50 shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. Then why would he ask for 500? Or words to that effect. It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem. It's the consulting detective work not going so well. Something afoot. I wonder, could I ask you something? Bien sûr. Sure. I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps? Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he disappeared. A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah. There you are. Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working. Maybe he does know how wax models are made. Maybe I don't. Do you wish to be melted down? My dear madam, to spells shave your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. However, not. You aren't as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer... No, I insist upon payment in advance. Of course. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain? That is the To Spells special exhibit. There's an extra charge to see it. Ah, a special exhibit in the House of Horrors. You must depict a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder? Absolutely meant to known. There's nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madam. So nothing amiss that you won't even... We'll see. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond before the situation worsens. Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a supercone. Why did it have to be French? It's always French. I don't know French. I can't pronounce French. French is just too powerful for me. I must confess I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The To Spells special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. Yet somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however, is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Well, then perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself? I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman, not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. Yeah, I'd hope so. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. He definitely only knows it's a real person because he went over and, kicked him, right? The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in the special exhibit. Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. She looks as pale as Candlewax. Do you know what? It's something... Oh, dang it. Uh-oh. Maybe I won't be doing this right now. I was going to move the camera, but... I might have to see about getting an extender for that camera. I want to move the camera to this monitor because I really feel like I spend more of my time looking this way. Yes, it'll be weird because the original idea was always I look at camera when I'm looking at chat, but I can always move chat a little bit more that way, which is still better instead of far left monitor where I usually have it. I don't know. But the cable's not long enough on the camera right now, so even if I wanted to, I can't actually. Sometime. She looks as pale as Candlewax. I don't understand. So, Madame Tuspels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Alright, the game is afoot. It's time to deduce. Waxwork's fate. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some £200? That's all my money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tuspels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that public notice. Sure. Waxwork for sale, your business is at hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your special exhibit, for the sum of £200. None. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the £200. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little fingers most effectively. What are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of £200. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extraordinary amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result, the scene we see before us. He realized he paid a lot of money for a thing that he agreed to pay a lot of money for, and it broke him, and he just collapsed. Collapsed in shock, of course. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer price. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. As always, Holmes. Sholmes, sorry. Sholmes, as always. Fantastic. Clearly 11 out of 10. The question that arises then is, what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly... What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief, such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay. What are you talking about? The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards. But next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with this particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost, in fact, as if he were a waxwork. But you... Your reaction only confirms my suspicion, madam. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is waxwork is the obvious price tag. Threepence, a tragically low price, you might say. Though perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behavior that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madam? I do not. Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Imagine being one of the people like the madam right now, where, like, he gets so close to getting it right, and then hard veers in the wrong direction with 100% pure confidence. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Well, you sure tried. You sure did. I see I've stunned you all into silence. You have, Hurley, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot. I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the notorious Naruhodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, that would mean he's a particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Ottermole. Sorry. It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether. And it turned out the culprit was the policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Ottermole. Do they mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be? Indeed, it is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well. But is £200 a lot of money for? But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages, if that puts things in perspective. So it is quite a lot, then. Is there anything else you wish to add before I melt you down? This wax is looking more and more ominous. Also, hey, Sor, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. We're trying not to get melted in wax. It's proving difficult. The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me. Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris, if that's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions. Of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight. Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tuspels vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tuspels, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Okay, let's, steer him back. Yes, let's have his foot here. Some more money. Yes, don't think it's public notice. What do we got? She definitely looked in this direction, it's true. I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks, even for £200. Though, she must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. For that much money, I would. But it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, What if the 200 pounds could have some other significance? Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it. I mean, it could be the man, but... Seems this well-dressed gentleman is alive after all, just not alive and kicking. And it's not a waxwork or a model of a mass murderer. I'm not sure I'd pay 200 pounds for it. I don't think the man's up for sale. Well, anyway, it's a silly place to put him. Other museum visitors could easily trip. I don't think the man was put there on purpose either. What's that note doing pinned up on the wall there? Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuspels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is 200 pounds. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd October. What? This is just the sort of thing that's left behind when someone's kidnapped. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly. That's probably that.
Take that!
The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so. We must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness abducting a waxwork. 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Oh man, why am I tired? I slept good. I slept good? Now let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. So it's the guy. Whatever he's going to pick with this. Appear to 90 seconds for shock. So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? We could just ask him when he comes around. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deductive process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Hurley's tried it so hard, and we mustn't let him down. Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock, that much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tuspels trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. This is just Madame Tuspels' right hand, isn't it? Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is the left hand as well. Look. Don't say such creepy things, Iris. Please. And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean it's made of wax? Hmm.
Take that!
What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that it is in fact a left hand. And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you now. It's the hand of a waxwork model. Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir. No small keepsake. Taking a whole branch off a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson. You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back. And the result, the scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later, but for the time being, we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. Okay, we got our first conclusion. Kidnapped, not sold for cash. Now to see if we can figure out where it could be. The question that arises then is, what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Neckerchief. Alright, what do we got? According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway. A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard until this moment where we now know. Oops, sorry. Punch the mic. That Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away. Well, uncovering secrets is in any true detective's nature, of course. Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tuspel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. What the? The man has a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be. Ah, well, that settles that then, right? This isn't a real person at all. His entire arm's been ripped off, from the shoulder down. His arm's been... Of course, that ties in with what we just found out. I mean, it does, yeah.
Take that!
Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stock. No such boneless human walks the earth. Of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes. He's become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man. Naturally, what other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. Yeah, just see these closely as a muscle. We're watching him closely and he hasn't moved a muscle in. Ah, but you. Your reaction only confirms my suspicions. I noticed it once, of course. Race tag. Killer policeman called Ottermole, was it? Well, was he well known? It's all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price though. Threepence isn't much money. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garib's delightful lodgings, in fact. Ugh. True. So this is the special killer taken from the special exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for £200. Is this crusty old killer policeman Ottermole? Really? Perhaps we should have a good look around again and see. Let's see if another idea crops up. Yeah, he's definitely waxwork. Look at this! The old man's tapping his foot like crazy. Seems to be fast asleep though. He's not tapping his foot consciously then. So you mean must be a twitch? Yeah, twitch. Look, twitch. Never mind that. The point is, waxwork doesn't tap their feet, generally speaking. Or twitch. Alright. Look at his arm too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we? Well,
Take that!
seems our best bet. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. I hope not. In other words, the splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then. And there you have it. Well, Madame Two Spells? Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep. But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3p? No doubt the price tag of the muffler, which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the first sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway. Also, Ramen, how's it going? Welcome to Open in the chat. Of course, because as you know, there's been just such criminal activity happening here. As introduced from the very beginning, detective. So it would seem that we finally arrived at the truth. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. This concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Not bad. We've had Sholmes be threatened to be melted down into wax multiple times, just since we started. Normal stuff. And now we've deduced. Well, we've, fixed his deduction. His super accurate first try deduction. Also, she just throws random French words in, because I love French. Because I'm good at French all the time. So that's great. Super great. All sorts of people visit my museum here, men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. The intro to this song,
Fishing.
just those first few notes, very much reminds me of one of the pieces of music from the Series of Unfortunate Events TV show. Ah, some magical fish?
Naughty.
Well, you caught a new record-sized large loot snake. Does that work? I don't remember which one it was. Was it the Carnival episode? I think it was. Yeah, the House of Freaks. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, well at least now I remember it was bothering me which one it was. I was like, I know those notes. Where? The great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. So far, my favorite bit is the flashback of him offering to get paid 500 to just jump into the molten wax, because that's how he thinks wax sculptures are made. It's perfect. It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I'm gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely abducted. He's so smart. Yes, tragically it was. Then I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork. In as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well. But after I've told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. Some days ago now, when I came in here one morning, I immediately noticed that a waxwork was missing from a special exhibit here. I mean, yeah, hard to miss. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place. The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. So this waxwork that was stolen was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose? Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar in society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Is this gonna be a Moriarty reference, or are we talking like, I don't know, I have no idea. Not a name I've heard of. So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry. The Professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time that Baron von Zieks graduated from university, in fact. What? Surely he's not saying. So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life. As you've surmised, it was the Professor's case. Who is this Professor, then? The Professor. It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. Is there a cat meowing in this song? I feel like I asked that more once. Now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Well, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction. I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zieks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the Professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest. What do you mean, Hurley? Those murdered by the Professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy, members of nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administrations. Members of the... Ah, wait, of course! What Professor Harebrain said. Lord Van Zieks is from a family with noble blood. Oh, gosh. It was the 5th victim that led to the Professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Clint Van Zieks. No! I don't believe it! Van Zieks! I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Barrack pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today. I had no idea Lord Van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter. For the time being, at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit. I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. It's been too long, it really has. Delighted to see you, Barrick. It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places. I don't remember what voice I gave him, but it's, can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Assman. Assman? Assman. Mr. Assman, yep. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow, the court will decide what to do with your Assman. Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting as my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident. A terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Barrick, are you really... What? Never mind. I know that you have my best interest at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anyone else. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barrick. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. More cats. Prison cats, you know. Put behind bars for cat crimes and the sort. To be continued. Alright, well. Let's see how this trial is going to go down. Here it'll go smooth. 23rd October, 8:52 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor Harebrand. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel it every time I'm here. That gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. What are you telling me? It's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? No, it's literally the gravity of the situation. Also, Diablos is just back there casting Graviga, so like you'll feel that. It'll take a percentage of your HP, but it'll never actually kill you, so it's fine. I think it's probably all in the mind. Ah, yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? Counting on you in today's trial to save my life. Save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. That's the fun part of court. The Diablos, yeah. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. I just imagine the court case like this. Like, in my head, what actually happened is that was a Hitman level, and, you know, we succeeded with flying colors. We made it look like a nice big accident, that the science experiment went wrong. But, like, how does the court case go down after that? I would play the hell out of that Ada's Attorney game, where the big twist is it was actually Agent 47 from Hitman who caused all the problem. There's no way that would ever happen, but, you know. My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. You appear to have been lumbered with the most tiresome case here. Every crime. Yeah, all of them. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here. It was very mean, Bruno, leaving me alone at home with Hurley. It took me at least an hour to wake him. That sounds like a lot of your problems. Is it? Are you? Sherlock Sholmes! Indeed, sir, I am he. Sherlock Sholmes. I've heard all about your exploits, even whilst living in Germany. Ah yes, Rance magazine is on sale in Germany too. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in the adventure of the Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah yes, a memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No, that was the Speckled Band. Well, thank you for coming. Oh, sorry, well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. The untraceable, fingerprintless, unknown assailant, 42 bodies off a small dock in Italy, you mean? Yeah. Unsolvable case. You can't have a court trial for it. It's unsolvable. Totally unsolvable. People will never... I keep forgetting that I've got like 2 missions left to finish that and then I'll be done. I need to just do it. Tried puddle and died. Yeah, exactly. The best of incidents. The best of cases. Sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh. I have urgent business at Madame Tuspel's. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, right? The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. Though, because you mentioned Snake, it reminded me, one of the games I got for Christmas that I've been playing on my Steam Deck is Cassette Beast, which is a 90s aesthetic Pokemon-like, where the battles are always at least 2v2, and you transform into the Pokemon, so you get a combination of the player stats and the Pokemon stats, but you do it because the Pokemon get recorded on cassette tapes instead of Pokeballs. You put them in a Walkman and you put on the headphones and you turn Pokemon. As you do. But the thing that brought it up is I found the Snake Pokemon, and I evolved it already. So, you know, clearly my main. Smart on them, they let you go to your inventory and open the type chart anytime you need to. Because I don't know the types well, so that's fine. And it's interesting the way they do typings. It's not always just, this does less damage, this does more damage. Like, if you do certain things to certain Pokemon, or Cassette Beasts, whatever, like certain elements might be like, oh, they get less energy on their turn, or you get more, or oh, you hit them with something that kicks up like a dust cloud that actually shields them from further attacks, or like there's a lot more interactions than just does more damage, takes less damage, which is pretty nifty. The ghost type of the game can like steal the typing of an enemy they hit as long as they're of a natural element, but if there's something unnatural like toxic or plastic or whatever, it actually harms the ghost trying to take their element. So it's interesting. The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then. I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. Yeah, sure will. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Yeah. So, and yeah, so it's been pretty nifty so far. The 2v2 aspect is cool, and it's certain cassette beasts you get give you like out of combat abilities, though they seem fairly scripted. I only have one so far, but like I caught like a Mothman, and now I can glide, but I don't seem to need to keep it around. I think it was just a scripted I don't think I'm going to randomly find one that gives me the ability. I think it's more just like, oh, this is our excuse to give you the glide ability. But it's been interesting so far. And then I found like this crazy corrupted glitch thing. They call it an Archangel. And, you know, boss fight. So like the first few hours of it have been interesting so far. We'll have to see how it goes. But it's been fun. Hold on. What's this? Okay. Whatever. Yeah, full attention, sure. Yeah, it has been nifty. Quite, Iris. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for a pie. That's a... What? I like pie as much as the next man, but I can't say that, like, when I concentrate too hard on doing my job, I must have a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Sure. Oh yes, quite, definitely, absolutely, I totally understand. Does Hairbrain also have pie cravings when he concentrates? Is someone a little starstruck? I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Hairbrain. Oh, why, thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? I know he's supposed to be whispering, but I'm just going to assume he doesn't know how. So I'm just going to assume he just moves really close to Naruhodo and goes, "As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as this super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor at the Grand Exhibition is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Renault, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. So he's completely barking up the wrong tree. Yeah, normal things, yeah. But how can an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding, in fact succeed? That's contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I've no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. They really went above and beyond on every single one of his animations. Like, everyone is animated well. He's animated absolutely just over the top perfectly. Well, looks like you're on your own today, Bruno, but chin up, you can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? Ah, no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. It's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. That sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way to the courtroom at once. Run away. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed. And as a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. Also, so we have no legal counsel? We have nobody with us? That bodes ill for us. Alright, got my papers. We're good and ready for the inevitable. 23rd October, 9:10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Hairbrain. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Forgot that he just stanced up like that. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice. What's more, I'm without Susato-san today. Oh, he's... Yes. Ugh. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? So, I must say I recollect the victim in this case all too well, Mr. Odie Assman. Oh, one other really fun thing I like about Cassette Beast so far, even though I'm barely in, I found a fire dog who has a version of Quick Attack that they just call Zoomies. 11 out of 10. Fantastic. Mr. Assman was well known as a financier, but that was merely a front for his diversive criminal activities. It's only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty. Not our fault. We haven't been in a case in 6 months. It wasn't our fault, because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom. Mostly money. Pretty exclusively money. 2 days ago, on 21st October, Mr. Assman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it? And that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Assman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain. Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duties? I'm most grateful to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. I have a man's fate in the palm of... To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, that sends shivers down the spine. She has such a long neck. Also, probably... Just... Okay. Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances. What? Do we just have Benjamin Franklin here? Any spirited scholar that defies the reputation of science deserves to hang. We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and settle on one. That's it, isn't it? It is also the ideal way to eat a corn on the cob. She is correct. Illegal? What illegalness has happened? Alright. Huh. Hello, juror number 6. Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. That's a police killer Ottermole lookalike again. He's exhausted as ever, it seems. There is something really messed up about a police officer who can barely stay awake, but the second he actually wakes up, he whips out his gun and starts threatening people. That's, fine. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition, shortly after its opening. And though the death toll could have been far worse, with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators. A tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all London, no, of the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. Yeah, I don't know if we do swift. I've never been picked for jury duty. I've been called 3 times. Twice, I called the night before and they were like, don't bother. One time I actually went in, sat down, read a book for a few hours, and they went, anyone who hasn't been called by now, go home. So I went home. That's the extent of my jury experience. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks. At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world. One of scientists' latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the great exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. The technology being demonstrated by the accused is described as super high voltage, instantaneous kinesis. Good Lord! It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity. That sounds awful. No part of that sounds good. And beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled. Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? No. Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity. My goodness, how shocking. Ah, whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. Sir, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field. I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. I mean, you know what they say. Electrope has many uses. Watch and learn. So, this experiment and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible. What is the prosecution's view on the matter? The prosecution would assert that the accused instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What? One of his flasks actually explodes. What is he doing at the juror's bench? Mixing chemicals. Alright. Order! The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Assman's life in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But, and also so that we'd have an entire trial where I was forced to say Assman. Though apparently they had an entire trial where he had to say Assman off camera, so you know. That already happened. This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. Thank you, Lord Menzies. The prosecution's stance is clear. You will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims. Gladly, my lord. The cape is actually the witness. Bailiff, show the first witness to the stand. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. That was on duty at the demonstration, on the day in question, and in charge of the following investigation. Man just went through every single emotion. All of them. Just... Albert Herbert, scientist. You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, alright. An incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the Forensic Investigations team. This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it. Centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim ran straight into it. I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence. Photograph of the victim has been entered into the court record. As the court's heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asman. Odie. Are we in Live Alive? Almost called it Kill the Kill. There have been numerous allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being, he was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right. That must be it. My splendid machine. My poor, splendid machine. You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage! The wreckage! But that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your pardon. Isn't that right, witness? What? Sorry, me? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with a complete certainty. What? How can you possibly think that? Thank you, Inspector. Think we had better proceed to formal testimony. Yeah, we better. And explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder. A front for murder. The corpse that went crashing into the crystal tower had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection. That's all. That was my mistake. But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere. This fella's the only one who could have done it. Not ideal. Suboptimal, yeah. An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart. Information I would really have liked to have heard from someone other than the judge. Yeah. Coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. No. That couldn't be further from the truth. I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the bird cage, ready to be beamed instantly. To the second level of the Crystal Tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair. Wait, so they're admitting it did work then? Then Zeke's just fully said, yeah, it worked. Okay. Where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the Crystal Tower's large round window. My word, one assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower then. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it's just an accident, a terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't deceive you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. Murder weapon? What do you say? And this is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record. Man, wouldn't it be great if we ever got to see that before court started? Never. Your request is granted, counsel. The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. And the only other person on the stage with Mr. Assman was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. And really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise. Really. Very well. Counsel for the defense. Proceed with the cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. Need to focus here. It's been a while. Cross-examination. I should be checking the stuff we have here. Okay, so armband obviously ain't gonna do anything. Newspaper. The paper attacked. It's the kingpins of the criminal underworld generally managing to escape conviction in the Reaper's trials. This isn't the first time their henchmen have tried to attack Lord Van Seeks as a result, by the sound of it. Makes you think. That's how the justice system works in London. And there must be dark forces at work. Lost count. Okay, so now we have the sketch. Useful. Doesn't seem to have anything else to it. Oh yeah, we didn't actually figure out anything about this, did we? And it won't even let me examine it. I guess I have no one to talk with. This green cloth. Yeah, he's definitely been stabbed. Details of victim, name, Odie Assman, male, age 47, British, time of death, 21st October around 2:20 p.m. Cause of death, hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart, inflicted by sharp implement. Additional observations, a broken vertebrae most likely resulting from impact after a sudden fall from a considerable height. Okay.
Hold it!
That's what we got for now then. Are you suggesting it's because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly. Which highlights something else about this whole rum business. What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah! After the explosion, the cage that the fell inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. So although the experiment ended in disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur. Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster?
Hold it!
So the angle of projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself, personally? Absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right, that's the point. The calculation is so complicated even I can make a mistake. Do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it. I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously then, you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Assman was wearing at the time, I suppose. Crackling comets! The answer should have been 3! So much for safety first. 3 must be for safety third.
Hold it!
Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense. I don't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? Too right. Obviously, at first glance, we thought the bloke had died due to spine snap in half as well. But you're saying that's not the case. I'll get your answer once I finish my fish and chips, if you don't keep butting in every few seconds. We all know that's a bottomless bag, somehow, magically, annoyingly. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that it's the cause of death. Right. That's what we'd all thought, but it was a red herring, wasn't it?
Hold it!
Judge Pence knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well, and only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere thanks. So, what was the nature of the sharp object? Among the accused tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Ah yes, that would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it? Ah! There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew? Of course. Do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother, Michael, is a crosshead. Well, it appears that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. That isn't... It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. No. That's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? Wait, so... Okay. So you're saying any sharp-ish long instrument could have done it? But we're going with screwdriver? Well, it is, red stained. That's not great. Order! The court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence. Screwdriver has been entered in the court record. So one of Professor Harebraine's tools is the murder weapon. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine, which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. Now for the definitely not blood. This is blood. Mr. Aspen's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. That's probably all we got for it. Great.
Hold it!
Ground stand for saying. Do you really need to ask? There were only 2 people on that public experimentation stage, in front of a whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Udi Asman, and the accused, Professor Harebrain. And we know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. Do we know for certain? How can we be so sure? That's right, saw with my own eyes. Ah, damn it. People were there. That's how they know. That's what I said. Cheaters. Cheating. Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could possibly have done it.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you got something to... You got some words? Professor Harebrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor. Ah, sorry. It's just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body. I wouldn't stand it's the best place for that. Seemed as though you might have something to say. About Inspector Grayson's last remark. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh? I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Aspen, as you say. Yeah. Explain, please, Professor. Now, of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. And surely you see, if I'd plunged something the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood swimming pool. Ah. Thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. I mean, that's fair. Well, no, I suppose not. Oh man, it's freaking cold in here tonight. Thankfully I've got some space here, but it's weird. It's just cold. It's just cold. But it's weird that like some nights the heat is really strong in here. Some nights the heat's just not, and I don't really know what makes it one way or another. It's fine. Got a space here. It'll be okay. I was actually just checking the weather to see. I guess it's going down to 24 tonight, which is cold, but Monday night's gonna suck. Monday night, this whole week, 18 Monday, 19 Tuesday, 16 Wednesday. Well, guess if I'm going out for breakfast one of these days, it'll be tomorrow. Too cold? I mean, it's already too cold almost. You see? No one! True. I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. Order! Uh-oh. It's wine time. Pray, forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hollow chalice to accompany my old friends Aduson. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Bark. But I'm really not a patch on you. You're not. No? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have. A particular situation in which very little bleeding results from a stab wound. Yeah, of course. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Very well. You will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body whilst he was beamed through the air.
Hold it!
But we know that's not the case because we found the screwdriver in the grail. Oh, great. Why would you think that, Inspector? With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that profuse bleeding occurs. Whilst it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word. I see. You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for the investigator. Where's the South when you need it? If you ask me, this bloke masked what he was doing from view of his body before stabbing Assman in the chest. Then he beamed the victim off the stage with this fancy device, the screwdriver still where he planted it. I would never do such a thing. Not to my precious tools. I would never use them for such dirty work. Oh, I heard about that. Yeah. Also, Eric, how's it going? Welcome to Viper Land in the chat. Yeah, Moderators took that idea and rolled with it in all the best ways. You'll use tools for their intended purposes. That's common knowledge for any scientist. The fact remains, the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecution has demonstrated. I don't know if we'll be able to... Doesn't... I mean, it does say where we found it, so maybe... Let's see. So, that's all the testimony I have to work with. I had no idea the victim had been stabbed. That changes everything. Did Van Zieks keep that to himself until now on purpose to gain the advantage? Yeah, oh well, suppose all I can do is press these witnesses for as much new information as possible. We did. So that's all the testimony I have to work with, yeah. It's gotta be the screwdriver in the grill. Keep the last one. Neck. Oh. Inflation. It's gotta be a screwdriver. Has to be. You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood on the experiment stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Yes, but about the screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through metal ground. When I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, now you come to mention it, yes. Did he really forget that already? I mean... Okay. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the Defense Council to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I had a little look, nothing more. It was very clear it wasn't to touch a thing. Yes, that's true. This screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it? But what are you getting at? If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. That's right. It should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Assman. And been found still lodged in the victim's chest. Order! How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't... Looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. Yet the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred. Obviously, that should have been beamed to the destination as well. Ew! This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that the instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. Oh, excuse me. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zieks is stumped. What? Do you have something to say, witness? Yes, I know it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruto, don't worry. About what? Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Assman's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew's remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. Why would you... What?
Objection!
Yeah, can I object to my guy, damning himself? Can we object to that? It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation. Just when I found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientist. Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with the scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails forward. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. Witness testimony. Tired? A little bit. I don't know why. Again, I slept good last night. Slept mostly good Saturday night. So not really sure. To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence, the metal weapon would have stayed put. Yes. Can't transport metal, huh? In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Aspen was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. So, the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. Lies. But why... Why is he going against us? Does he want death? Assuming this is a lie, which, you know, it seems to be, because we definitely see metal in his picture, why would he lie about this? Does he want to be... Okay. And therefore, Professor Albert Harebrained could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. I was not addressing you, witness. Professor Harebrained? Yes. Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist, after all. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend. Sure. Hey, yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, the only thing we have that could... Alright. Well, let's see how this goes.
Hold it!
And yet your retort to my argument wasn't lacking in confidence in any way. No scientist can find the truth without first finding self-belief. Those are the words of a certain scientist I hold in the very highest esteem. But you realize that disproving my arguments puts you in a very precarious position, don't you? No scientist should strive to protect himself more than he strives to protect the truth. That's a choice. That's a choice. More words of the same great scientist, you know. Words that are causing me a lot of trouble. Who is this scientist? I'm afraid I couldn't tell you, Mr. Naruhodo. But as soon as I remember the magnificent genius's name, you'll be the first to know. It might be worth keeping the names of your idols to mind. You're wasting your breath, my learned friend. This scattered brain even forgets my name at times. So Lord Van Zieks really did have a friend once. I didn't notice hell freezing over. Probably this point unless another one gets unlocked. The hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then. No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one based on thousands of calculations. But it's widely known that metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. That's false, right? Isn't that like the entire basis of electroplating? Is that you absolutely can electrically dissolve one metal and attach it to another one? Isn't that 100% how that's done? Okay. Yes, of course. So I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see. Sorry, the birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the C. obtusa cage in which Mr. Aspen was placed for the kinesis. Ah, the jail cell in which the victim was detained. It does indeed seem to be made of a timber of some sort. I think you'd have to refer to it as an instrument of incarnation, or incarceration, your lordship. In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on stage as if it was made of metal. If it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it. Yes, it all fits perfectly with the mathematical model. Sure. But the ultimate conclusion, then, is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Da, indeed, sir. Someone beam me out of this nightmare.
Hold it!
You seem to be pleased by that. Yes, another example of my hypothesis holding true. But I sense some sarcasm, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you not pleased? No. I knew it. At the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for Mr. Aspen losing his life. The advancement of science is no excuse, I know that. No, you're quite right. Tell the court, did you have a close relationship with Mr. Aspen? Oh, well, no, not really. I mean, I only met him 2 or 3 times. And we only ever discussed my hypothesis in the project, and the research grant, of course.
Hold it!
How did you come to know Mr. Aspen in the first place? A year ago now, a small provincial science journal published a little paper about my work. That's a scientific journal? Good gracious, I should need new spectacles. It might have had extraordinary hypotheses and great promises, but at the time I had no money. I was shocked. Excuse me. I'd eat tiny little meals at a tiny little cafe and drink watered down water out of my tiny little glass. Watered down water. That's poor. But Mr. Aspen read the paper and came to visit me in my tiny little laboratory. And offered you money to help with fund your work. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. I handled the theoretical side of things, and Mr. Aspen provided me with an engineer for the practical. And the 3 of us produced that fantastic machine together. The machine that you brought to the great exhibition to demonstrate. Also 3? We had to apply to the government for some sort of inspection to be allowed to exhibit, I think. I don't understand all that side of things. Mr. Aspen took care of all of it. He was a wonderful man. Really, I owe him everything.
Hold it!
You said that you built the machine together. Does that mean you were involved in its construction? Yes. Well, not exactly. Not good at the practical side of machines myself, so the physical construction is done by an engineer. Little remains for creation now, though, following the explosion. Repair will no doubt be impossible. Yes, I realize that, but still. If someone were to gather all the broken parts, they could discover the secret of my hypothesis. But Mr. Aspen and I toiled over the machine for so long, we put our hearts and souls into it. I have to protect our work. So what's left of the machine must be kept safe. That's only fair, because what happened was on accident. That's the extent of the testimony, then. Thank goodness for that. Don't want him doing any more damage. He's already basically proven that he could have been the culprit. But it seems as though all he really cares about is defending his hypothesis. Still, I wonder, what if his hypothesis is just fundamentally flawed? It's gotta be... It has to be here and it has to be there. It doesn't have to be, but it's what I think.
Objection!
So we're going with it. Professor Harebrand, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, papers. I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. Look at this photograph. Every time I do, I notice metal. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. Cool, so I was spot on. Hell yeah. I was pretty sure, but I'd never be fully sure. You can clearly see that Mr. Aspen is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal, no, metal can't. That's not metal. No! Thank you, Mr. Harebrand. I've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, you should also have predicted that the metal-rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place. Yeah. Yeah, my hypothesis! Yeah, sure, okay. Professor Harebrand, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. You may as well have just stabbed him yourself. Ah! Well, poor guy. Order! Counsel, what is the implication of this? On the day in question, the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place. It is entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all of my work. I could say something here in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society. Yes, Juror number 4. Go ahead. As a man of science, there's only one thing I simply cannot abide. And that is a fraud who pretends to be the fellow man of science. What? Wait, Scott, are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense, from start to finish. Believe me, fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the wreckage of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. And he has a newspaper for pointing purposes. No, never. That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's produced with a special protected with a special dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. I'm never going to be able to say that easily. What the devil is that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. It's the best way for me to help the professor. What would we even be objecting to? Sure?
Objection!
Professor Harebrand has yet to perfect his invention. That seemed to be the case, yes. But even so, what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public. You would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. for the research grant money. The government was foolish enough to have deemed the man's ridiculous notion plausible. He and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? £10? How much could grant money be? $10? You're an order of magnitude out, madam. £500 a year. You can live handsome on that much for years. The society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently. Plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you. It's not wrong. No, I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound, the science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Mark. And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused. Mark. Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Van Zieks? The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand. New witnesses? What would be the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition who were occupying special seats. Witnesses? Very well, the court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident. The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no prestige. The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. It's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me? We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes. Alright, to be continued. Well, guess we're getting new witnesses. That'll be fine, probably. Sure, they won't cause any problems for us whatsoever. 23rd October, 10:44 a.m., Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Mr. Naruto. What on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis, my amazing hypothesis. You've been picking holes in it from the start. Sorry about that. You hired me so that you aren't killed? I'm trying to do my best to have that stay and keep you alive. But you promised me. You said you'd prove that drafted explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anybody else's hands. All you've done so far is try to undermine me. All you've done is try to undermine me. Yes, I did make you a promise, you're right. I said that I'd believe in you and wait for your freedom to the very end. I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. Fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But let's just run through some equations. Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he? No! 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 You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. And I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster, not just as a scientist, but as a human being. Well, that might be a little over the top. And while we're on the subject, what about Barrick? He's being awful. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean? Oh, claiming, yeah. He's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore. Glad that's cleared up. Can I double check something with you? Yes. What? The machine and demonstration you prepared, they were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume. There was no trickery involved? I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with the firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it. But we don't even know what it is. You won't tell us. I mean, it clearly has to do with projecting somebody through the air, kinesis and all that, but like, what is the actual hypothesis? He keeps talking about it. Is it the whole... I don't know. Maybe I'm missing that. I guess he could be talking about the whole unit as in its entirety and what it's supposed to do, but that's... I don't know. The way he's making it sound is maybe not it. Alright, Professor, I understand. Counsel, defendant. Prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. Court is about to be in session. Okay. It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. But on the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. Practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? Whatever the evidence seems to be working with seems to be the best answer. 3rd October, 11 a.m. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsel for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? Prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Van Zieks, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration of the day in question with their own eyes. Indeed, they did. And as luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Perfect, a detective of all people. Prosecution's stance remains unchanged. but ended in tragedy. The demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed the act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear, so bring forth your witnesses now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. Witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. Sure, doubt it, but, you know, whatever, man. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the Experimento stage. My name is Wilhelm Gostrix Sigismund Ormstein. I have come to the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. Well, sometimes just got Bible. I am very rich. Inspector Gino Lestrade, Scotland Yard. What great detective, even Erlock Sholmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition, and I got up to one of them balloons. It was amazing. Gina, again. But she did mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in a balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. There were three balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. Two of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above. You make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet, very low. Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet, about 18 meters then. Yes, let me just get my feet to meters sheet examined. Thank you for your introductions. Now, you'll give your formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage. Yeah, their testimony may be a little more important. The view from 60 feet up. It was an incident terribly. I am only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. There's this huge bang from the stage, and then the next second another bang in the sky beside us. And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower. So they're agreeing that the device did work in getting the cage up into the sky instantaneously, not like catapulting. But all the scientists say it can't be done. Alright. Most extraordinary collective account, I must say. Can I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. And then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called birdcage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The birdcage appeared at the site of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the Crystal Tower. I was very surprised as suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hot, but I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. Ah, yes. The power of money. Unlimited balloon works. I still have lots of money. This little kid. Precisely who is this curious infant? I am told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the great exhibition. Sure, I am here in London on sightseeing trip with my elementary school. We will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Yeah, cool, sure. Like, children never lie or embellish or just straight up tell false things just cuz. Do you really need that? And then I remove my mask because this is what I look like. Ah yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. Sure, everyone says so. Great disguise. The point is, the testimony of Bill's witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the Crystal Tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused, who was with Mr. Assman on the stage, could possibly have committed the murder. Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So the defense is cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. This is going to be a harder one. They didn't really say a lot definitively. Balloons weren't damaged. 2 bags. Cage appeared. Unless we find evidence that it can't fly or something. Well, we'll just have to see if any new info comes up, but so far nothing immediately seems like something we have evidence for. There are 3 balloons flying above the experimentation stage at the time, I understand. See, all 3 of them my Bellissimi Bambini. They are very popular, signor. Some people will pay £10 for one ride. £10? That's more than my annual stipend. £20 a month. That is my pocket money. Royals have all the luck. No, they have all the money. I got up there for free, I did. Played the old I work for Her Majesty's police card, you know? Detectives have all the luck. They're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons, though? Because if I have too many in the skies, they could crash into each other. The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area. See, and the zone above the public's super imitation stage is the most profitable. The other impressions, they hate me. Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture of the arrangement for balloon rides at the exhibition. Perhaps we could hear more about what you actually witnessed at the incident. Right, I can fill you in there, my lord.
Hold it!
Two bangs. So, you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air? Yep. Isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Otto, being a lawyer is a mug's game. You should join the force so we can go flying together. You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway. Can you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything. We saw everything, because we were all up above all of it. That dodgy cove climbing into that cage, and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. That's when there was a massive bang and the cage disappeared. Just like that. You are describing the moment the subject's body was decompressed by the electricity, I believe. I don't know what to make of it, but then there was another bang right in my ear. I looked around and there was a huge, great fireball right next to us in the sky. And there was nothing there before.
Excuse me!
Hey, small child. Master Gotts? Does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at the elementary school said that when you need something for the first time, you should always use their full name. Ah, yes. What was it again? Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigmund Ormstein. Just the four names, then? The point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrade's last remark, perhaps? Oi, get it right, Otto. It's Inspector Lestrade. Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? Why can't you address everyone right? That is not what I saw. Oh? Sir, there was a second explosion, and it was right beside the balloon. That is true. But I'm sure. Which is what I said, isn't it? 1 minute there was nothing there, and next a massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school said that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful laugh imaginable. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. Green balloon? You what? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did. I saw it, and you can't say I didn't. I will complain to the council. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say it is a lie. That is not allowed. Playing the bleeding royalty card, right? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police. In that case, young man, I must ask for you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial nation relationships between Great Britain and Bohemia,
Hold it!
Green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that? Of course I am sure. I am proud Bohemian Prince. All these questions are making me boring. I think you mean bored. Ah, English is very annoying. The language of my countrymen is far superior. Ragazzo, it's very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloon never explode. For the same reason the planets never explode. It is logical. Please tell me that doesn't mean logical. If you insult me, you insult all of Bohemia. Madai. I'll have the army come and shoot all of your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them. Here you are, Your Highness. If only all international incidents were so easily resolved. Now that peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom, perhaps we can return to the testimony. Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Blue? No, I did not see the explosion myself. However, did you see that actually happen? No, in reality I did not. Saw after it hit the tower. There was a grand confusion around the stage. I ran to see what happened. I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had crashed. I suppose they are his livelihood. When I looked up on the stage, all my precious balloons were still there. I saw it though. I saw it slam into the tower after all. I'm a detective now. Okay, but that doesn't... It's not that you saw it because you're a detective. Hopefully you did see it. And tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear. Oop, I didn't mean to hit that button. Whoops. Prosecution really is asserting that the demonstration was genuine, but what if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. Two explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic, sure. I think we need to find out more about what exactly people saw at the time, yeah. Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Eh? Use your head over. How could it have been me? I was up on the balloon, weren't I? Right. It's because I weren't available, it was the boss who had to leg it over there. He's getting shoved and kicked all over by the panicking spectators as they tried to seal off the scene. It's a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Poor Inspector Gregson. So anyway, couldn't see the cage that well because of all the smoke. I didn't really want to see, to be honest. I'm scared out of my wits. Keep it together, Inspector. I'm not really sure.
Hold it!
3 balloons. Popularity, whatever. Money. There were 3 balloons. The sketch shows 2 balloons, but I think that it was just... It says it shows the relative positions of the Crystal Tower and Professor's machine, so like, I don't think they were trying to be balloon accurate. I'd assume. Huh. That's gonna come in handy. Each bang and then another bang. Yes. Wire is great. I should join you, whatever. The people who saw it really believed. There's nothing really to
Hold it!
say against that one. Green balloon. I feel like the green balloon, I mean, it's gotta be this, but that wouldn't even be objecting. We'd be agreeing with him. It's not a contradiction in what he said. That's the only thing I can. I'm gonna say it first. It's the only thing I can really find in all of their stuff. It's so not the right one.
Objection!
Yeah, it's not the right one. That's after it, yeah. That's the one that seems to be the most useful one. It's like, it's just better.
Hold it!
The tower. They didn't actually see it happen. Be careful that your balloons were not damaged. Wonder if we show them.
Objection!
Ah, okay, cool. It was that piece. I just put it in the wrong spot. Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all three of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they had been caught in the explosions, it would have been terrible. I wonder, you might know what this is. Ah, I think it may be. See, part of a balloon. A burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope. Sorry, the envelope? Pardon. It is the largest round part of the balloon, which becomes filled with hot air. It's made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip when you're in the sky. Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Mr. Goetz testified. A green balloon did indeed explode that day. If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. The balloon exploded that day. Why didn't the man say so? Maybe everyone on board was killed. Oh no, having just spent 10 whole pounds for the experience, how awful. Seems to me like these things crash 50% of the time anyway.
Objection!
The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage, the point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon. Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible. An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts. That cannot accept! Why not, Mr. Wayne? You are suggesting that I'm a liar! That person's died in a balloon incident! There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Wayne. The victim was a sole fatality that day. That's right, and I prove it! Balthazar Loon isn't not a liar! There's no such balloon in the sky, it is not impossible! You're saying it's impossible. Why? This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day. We actually don't, because this is important.
Objection!
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon. I concur. There is clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you'll give supplementary testimony about the balloons you were operating at the exhibition. Ah! Grazie, my lord. Mr. Loon's balloons. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe. But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt-up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you? Hoppers at the yard reckoned it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. This stupid ragazzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. So maybe it wasn't his balloons? So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you. Si, exactamente. If he even saw a balloon in the first place. Did not like the sound of it. It's very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be war. All-out war. Yes, war. All-out war. Everyone will be warring each other. Nobody wants that. What happened to all-out war? Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying. That doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here. If the defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard of that, my learned friend. The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses. Alright.
Hold it!
You couldn't just have forgotten one, maybe? Signal. I might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we're talking about 3 enormous balloons! Do you believe I could make a mistake about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. Oh, he only has 3 balloons. It appears no mistake has been made then. Surely Mr. Stroud could have been sent for such a menial task. What, me? I tell you what, I told the boss, East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss bought it, said he'd have a go himself in that case. So it definitely seems to be that they're not his balloon. Somebody else put one up there. It'd be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Loon, tell me, what is it that keeps these balloons in the sky? Are you an idiota? Sorry? That is like asking, why does a candle burn bright? Burns bright because it burns bright. And a balloon flies because it flies. What else? Must be Italian for I don't know. There are two types of flying balloons. Hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than air. See, and my balloons are filled with a magic gas, I believe. Hydrogen, lighter than air, but highly explosive. Good lord! I do not permit smoking of the cigarettes in any of my balloons. The magic gas does not like fire. Even a small spark of static electricity can cause the entire balloon to explode. What's the matter with you, senor? All that comes out of your mouth is explosion, explosion! I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot eat. None of my balloons exploded that day, I'm completely sure. But if you still say that is what happened, you must show me the proof. Alright, so Mr. Loon had 3 balloons in the air that day. None of them were damaged, then what was the one that exploded?
Hold it!
I was surprised to find that police apparently took the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not into picking stuff up off the ground, mate. But you're an inspector. Always works out better way better diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is though, the cage went crashing into the Crystal Tower, didn't it? So that's how most of the investigating was going on. And so, we would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence. Cora, listen to you. You stumble across a bit of balloon and suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Wait, better than me, clearly. Pardon? Well, you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one! I could arrest you with this if I wanted to. Power's going to her head. Wouldn't put it past her. Come to think of it, there was talk of someone scorching on the ground in a meal. We'd had about the investigation.
Hold it!
Keep it going. There was considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the ghouls were watching the experiment were caught up in the blast and injured. Good job the old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I didn't even consider that. Seems there was great panic after the incident occurred. Sorry. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a torn piece of the envelope from the balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. Like me swiping all his fish and chips, eh? Again, we have confirmation that it is a bottomless thing of fish and chips. You can't steal all of infinity. Man's sole pleasure. None of this matters. A scrap of balloon envelope means nothing. Niente. Because he doesn't have a green balloon.
Hold it!
Which definitely would... Yeah. You mean the color is wrong? Si, senor. Do not have any green balloons in my warehouse. And yet, a piece of green cloth was found at the scene. It's unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know how that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't, therefore, conclude that it happened on the day in question. Why not? There have been recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree. You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition? Si, exactamente, as the senor says. It is not from one of my balloons. Clearly, this little ragazzo from Bohemia is mistaken about what he saw. Clearly, he does not agree with that statement. At all. Something wrong, Master Bats. Is Master Wilhelm Gostreich Sigismund Ormstein. It's on the tip of my tongue. Something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear it. I swear all over Bohemia. You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. If you do not have any evidence, Ragazzo, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is this evidence? To give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof of what you claim. Well, why didn't you say so sooner? I have the photograph here. Good gracious! What? I have not been up in a balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. I took lots and lots of photographs of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian exhibition, of the streets of London, of the hot eel cellar, the balloon. The instantaneous kinesis experiment. Did you take a picture of that? Un picture. Really? You did take one? But all I wanted was a fight on the balloon. I was not interested in boring experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph? Of course, and then we will see. You'll see that I am not lying. That I really did see a green balloon. Well... Well, I see you are all too shocked to speak. That is a very rich child who continues to flaunt his money, but also seems to be the only one around that was actually paying attention that day. So, yes. Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man. Ja, perhaps you cannot see that it was a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. That is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera. Wah. It's one very bohemian-sounding cry. Wah. Very well, very well. The court will accept this photograph as evidence. The photograph of the balloon has been entered in the court record. This is not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera. Okay, so what do we got now? That looks to me a lot like somebody trying to shoot the balloon. It also looks fairly not tilted up there. Otherwise, I don't know what we're really supposed to see. Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang. The hot wind was over my face. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I could not give the flying fig. Lovely language you've picked up. As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The young Bohemian boy claims to have seen another fourth balloon. But Mr. Loon vehemently denies the possibility. And it's hard to imagine the man in charge could be mistaken about the number that were in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell us something, I'm sure. Land safely. Got passengers. Back to brush up with the cloth. It's almost certainly not that. So it's got to be the debris from the stage, but I don't know if that helps us any. Moments after each of the show. It's gotta be that. Save again because I'm really not sure, but that's the only one that seems to have a contradiction. Because if the balloon was green and we have a green balloon piece, then he's not lying. Every balloon he had in the sky landed safely. And it's gotta be the new picture, right?
Objection!
Nope. Not there, at least. Forest. Screwdriver. I don't think it's this. It's a thick canvas with a thick rubber lining short. I've never seen anything like it before. Magnus has shown us his methods. He might introduce it as part of a raincoat, worn by someone who really didn't want to get it. The charge must have occurred. Charge must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Yep. Oh, maybe not. Don't think. There's a little lever here. Aha! What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. Some sort of cross. I think it's probably used for the same thing, too. Weapon found hidden behind a tree under the experimentation stage. Well, That definitely helps explain how the balloon popped. Let's move here. So the arrows loaded, I suppose. That's a perfect sound. To me, consistency of roasting 2 times out of 3. In fact, if I had one of these, maybe we could have beaten Cosmo in Kudo archery training. So everything else in this. Which means the crossbow almost certainly is what fired that, but... An explosion in the stage. I think that's gotta be the one. So red and blue zigzag stripes again. I don't think we can disprove that. No, pretty certain no. I don't think the sketch, like, yeah, the sketch is inaccurate, but the sketch was about the positioning of the other 2 things and not the balloon, so I don't think that holds up. Crossbow is going to be important, just don't know when. Green cloth, maybe, but I already tried it again. Photograph the victim, unlikely in this case. There's no green. I mean, he's got green hair, but, you know. Autopsy reports unlikely. Don't think that helps us either. We just seem to handling the beam covers where his chest would have been stabbed, so you can't tell from that. Trying to picture here right now.
Objection!
It's gotta be the picture. The picture's all we've got that's new. It's gotta be that.
Objection!
Stretching.
Objection!
Did you still have a photo here? Good, okay. So try that. And why wouldn't this have been blasted away, maybe? Nope. It might not even be the statement. Like, this seems to me the right one, but could totally be wrong. I'll try these last two, but I don't think they fit here. Just for, you know, shotgun approach consistency.
Objection! Objection!
Yeah, okay. So it's just not that one. It's just not. If the burnt bit of cloth was found at the scene, we can't contradict that. Burnt up piece of cloth was found at the scene. Can we disprove that his balloons have the venom zigzag stripe? There's that, but I don't think that proves anything.
Objection!
So that. What's that? Objection! This is one of those ones that I'm gonna be like, oh, duh, when it's over. Or right now, I just don't see it.
Objection! Objection!
Oh, I thought that was going to do. What is it then? Oh, it's so obvious. Okay. This shows a balloon not carrying passengers.
Objection!
Ah. I'm so distracted by the color of the balloon, I wasn't even thinking. It's so obvious. It doesn't show passengers. Unfortunately, the photograph Mr. Gotts took can't tell us the color of the balloon. But it can tell us something else. Something crucially important. What? It shows that the pictured balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Ah, my goodness. You're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. See, they are for pleasure, for seeing the view. My balloons only fly with passengers. Which tells us that the pictured balloon isn't one of them. So, when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. Excuse me. The mysterious green balloon. I know nothing. Niente. I can only tell you one thing. This balloon was not carrying passengers. Then it was not one of mine.
Objection!
There are no legal tweets, but everywhere you care to look. Immediately, one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Grand Exhibition and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Balloon's patch without him realizing. See, the competition trying to steal my profits. Did not notice because of the experimento that went wrong on the stage. This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Astman was beamed from the stage below. Right, so them scraps that fell to the ground after and left them scorch marks. They didn't come from the stage at all. There's bits of the balloon raining down, but because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. Mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers silently floating over the experimentation station.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue critter. Clearly, it has nothing to do with the case. Its relevance does elude me, I must say. The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. Prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it? There's more!
Objection!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait! Please don't give your decisions yet. The photograph from Master Gotz may well be hiding one more vital clue. What's that? A vital clue!
Objection!
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now, to tell the court. What exactly does this alleged clue in the photograph prove? The cause of the explosion. We can reasonably assume that the pictured balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion. Sir, that's right. Sir, it was not my fault. Evidently, because the bird cage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon, being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly and explosively
Objection!
ignited. No, that's not what happened. What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel for the defense. Highlight the location of this alleged clue in the photograph of the court. Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see. And what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have. In a way, that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. The clue that heavily suggests the real reason the balloon exploded is... It's right there.
Take that!
The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. I mean, yeah, you couldn't time that if you tried. If you look, you'll notice there's a bright white line that appears to be directly at the balloon. Most likely, a ray of light caught incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort. If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is. Goodness, what is that? Undeniably some flash of light, yes. Oh golly, do you think it might be lightning? From the ground, yes, ground lightning. But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we might be looking at fire. A bolt of fire headed straight for the balloon. Oh, what? Damn it. Like an arrow, okay, yeah. Indeed, even my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
Unless you shot it out of a crossbow. Actually, it's in my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen. What evidence? If such evidence exists, counsel, then for goodness sake present it, man. Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed for the direction of the balloon?
Take that!
The true nature of the curious, slim streak of light is revealed by this. Curious answer, with a slim chance of being the... What? No, what? No? No, no! It's somewhat like a piece of firework, but whereas fireworks dazzle their audience. No, it was the crossbow! What? No? But that's it. Did I click the wrong thing? Did it not update it as a crossbow? It didn't update it as a crossbow. Because I had to reload the save. Okay, I had the right evidence. That's the issue. Cool. Okay, I'm not an idiot. Gotcha. Cool. Also, hey Ark, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland 10. This was found inside the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. I was like, it has to be that. Okay, that was an error on my part, but that's fine. Good lord, is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil and set alight could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that crossbow was used deliberately? Blimey, you're right. That streak of light in the photo looks just like an arrow dab, doesn't it? Then, the explosion of the balloon, it was very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it. No! Ordar! Council, this is an extraordinary supposition. The aim was to cause the balloon to explode. The shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. The noise of the discharge, of course. That's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off at the exhibition grounds, excuse me, that would have caused a real panic. Trying to switch over your build, think at the end of activity. Okay, cool. Oh, so much regen for blood magic. Yeah, going blood magic really early is tough, and there's not a lot of regen on the tree, so you kind of got to get it out of gear. There are amulets that just straight give you regen. There are also places on the tree that get you flat regen, which is nice. Or like percentile, not flat, sorry. But the big explosion, though, was a big panic anyway, no? I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implication of what you're saying, my Nepenthes friend? If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. But if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued... What? Wait a minute, what are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all? Or what? My goodness me! Ah, now I understand. That's what the sinking feeling is all about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along. What? Did I just hear that correctly, Council? There's no going back now. The horse is bolted. I hope they buff armor, but also that's just the history of Path of Exile. Either armor or energy shield is stronger. There is always one that is the better choice, period. There have historically been times where every single build was energy shield. There were historically times where if you ran energy shield, you were a flippin' idiot. It's like we were talking the other day about getting like spells in JRPGs. It's so hard to get perfectly right. There will always be something that's a little better. Yeah, it seems like right now energy shield and block is the strong combination. But we'll see. For me, I kind of lean into it. It works out that I picked an energy shield build for both of my ones that made it to endgame. That wasn't knowledge, like I didn't know ahead of time. But I don't know. I feel like you could definitely run. Oh, I don't know. I'm not deep into the endgame either. With a story, you can probably run whatever the hell you want. Endgame stuff, it probably gets a bit different when you get into like further endgame stuff. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. Yeah, and that's how it should be. You should be able to get through the story reasonably with almost anything. Like, yeah, if somebody's just clicking randomly, they probably shouldn't be able to make it through. But if you even have a vague idea of what you're doing and a plan, you should be able to make it through story. That's my opinion. And it held up for PoE 1, and it seems to do for PoE 2 so far. Even my Cold Mage, where I had no idea what I was doing and the damage was low, I made it through the story. Also, hey Bots, how's it going? It was a click, but it was a click about Path of Exile. Also, welcome. Hope Anime Night was good. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage and the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. And it was different. Oh, okay. What were you guys watching this time? I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible that what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day. Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember hearing about it. Yes. Good grief!
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. Correct, yes. Yes. It's child's play. A contemptible display of stage magic. Both Mr. Sholmes and Iris said the experiment was a scientific impossibility, in which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day. Yeah. Oh, absolutely he's returned. Where else would he go? He's got to fight us. We also found out part of his tragic backstory. There was a serial murderer 10 years ago named The Professor, who went on a killing spree, as serial murderers do, and the last of his victims, the one that got him caught, was Lord Van Zeek's older brother. Because the scientist guy that we're defending now was friends with the good Baron in college, and it's like, yeah, he was actually a very friendly and helpful person. Wonder what changed? And apparently his older brother getting murdered that sent him on the path to being a prosecutor. So we know that much. There's still clearly details missing, but that's definitely what set him on this path. And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the Crystal Tower. If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that? If I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception. Juror number 3! All that would be needed was a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Assman. Also, yeah, the victim is Mr. Assman. So, we just have to say Assman a lot. And having this other man appear on stage to front the show is a body double. Yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Assman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
He really did, yeah. That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Everything hidden inside it would have been scattered to the 4 winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture. Yeah, 'cause he was already dead. Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend upon the mixture ratio. So, juror number 4! Is the jury actually helping us in this case? What is going on? Are they actually being beneficial to us? Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases, such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. The mixture ratio. Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns. That would be unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render this whole obscene charade impossible. So everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a weird feeling. Well, goodness me. And if we accept that this is what happened, It means that the victim, Mr. Assman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant, who was on stage in full view the entire time. It's dramatic. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zieks can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrain is the suspect now. Yeah, we're defending Professor Harebrain. Don't worry about it. Crap. Damn it! Of course he was going to say something. Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Professor? But you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please. Sorry? What's all this about, Mr. Harebrain? Sorry, yes, 100%, yes. I, Albert Harebrain, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Odie Assman. Yeah, also his first name was Odie. So we can either say he was odious, or we could say that he's one of the secret chapters from Live Alive that we never got to encounter, that just got, you know, moved into Great Ace Attorney. He was also an awful human being. He was a debt collector who was on trial a month ago and bribed everyone on the jury to get away scot-free, even though there was tons of evidence against him. So, he's not a good person. I mean, we're still defending this guy in the murder trial of him because he's dead, but it's one of those, like, the world is a better place because he's dead. Yes, it was me with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver. Yes, his screwdriver's name is Andrew. What the... This is a case, okay? This is a case. Order! 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 See, it's even the shape of an A. Yeah, there's a lot of, like... I feel like some of the people are way more of a real evil in Great Ace games versus Ace Attorney games. The Ace Attorney games are like cartoonishly evil, but these people are like, oh yeah, no, those people existed and exist. Like those are real people. Defendant, explain this sudden confession.
Objection!
Professor Harebrain, what are you talking about? It's what I said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. You stand there and claim it was all a trick, an elaborate prank, but where's your proof? No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would all be over. That beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it. It's clear that you drew the plans for that experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor. If you'll just let me bark. Yes. I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So please. Ensure the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act is adhered to and protect my creation. I don't know. He was. There were definitely some real slime balls, and even just the 3 I played, and I'm sure in the ones after there will continue to be. Oh, that wine glass is not long for this world. See, he can't drink it because it would have raised the rating of this game. So he can never actually drink it. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend. What? In his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in the light of the accused confession. Yeah, I don't see how we're gonna be able to do this. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. Well, he basically said, yeah, this scientist has said from the beginning the only thing he cares about is protecting his machine and not letting other people find out how it works so that he can still have the patent, whatever. And he is now showing that he cares so much about that that he's willing to say, yep, I did it, I'm the murderer, kill me, do not let people steal my contraption. If we insist that this went down the way that it clearly seems to have gone down, then we go against the singular wish of our client. But we also never discover the truth. We are between the biggest rock and the biggest hard place. However, do you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder? Yep, there it goes. Any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved. Well, counsel, what is the defense's official position of... What Professor Harebrain, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. That was what we were hired for. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence, or do I uphold my client's request but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind? Dude, stop the racism! You know damn well that this is a freaking hard moment, okay? Mr. Naruhodo, there's no escape here. I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something, but what? The defense asserts the defendant's instantaneous kinesis machine was in fact we can't let well, I gotta do it. Alright. Damn it. It's just too good. At the end of the day, I don't want to have somebody's blood on our hands. We were here to keep an innocent man from being put to death, no matter what that man had said. It's a conjuring trick. I almost, like, it can't matter what we say here, right? Like, some third party, some outside force has to sway this, right? Because that's too much to put on him. Ugh! Yeah, that's the right reaction. No, I can't say it. My client places faith in me. I just can't let him down. What must I give up on? It's not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what can I protect? Hey! Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long. Susato-san! But what? Hey! Shows up after a 6-month absence. Goes, here's some words of wisdom. By the way, my first Susato takedown in 6 months. There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand. Which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Yeah, you can protect this man's life. Professor Harebrain. Yes. Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too. Yes, of course. And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Assman. You did not stab the ass. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we must both pursue now. There it goes again. So, you finally opened your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say? So much. But Barrick, Lord Van Zieks. Gosh, never heard him speak that way before. Yeah, this professor and Von Zieks were college friends. Like actual, legit friends in college. In truth, there's one thing, something I've remembered that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. I beg your pardon! You know, the red robe and the greed behind him really makes the judge read his Santa Claus some days. Professor! Did that man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Taller than me and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see, one less lens than me too, a monocle, a rather stylish black monocle. One thing in particular will help to positively identify the man. You see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. What? He built the machine? That's right. Mr. Assman introduced me to him a year ago. He's a man by the name of... Enoch Drebber? Enoch Drebber? There's got to be something there that I don't see, but... Enoch Drebber! Well, they know him. Does this name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered. Yeah, it's the red and green that do it, for sure. Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. The man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. What on earth is he? I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I've heard in scientific circles in connection with that name. Trying to parse the bonds. Yeah, it's none of other flamboyant experiments that turn out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascal is after the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to those underhanded tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That is Enoch Drebber for you. Now it seems very likely that this could be the way things are going down. Well, so it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion. Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume. But I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen. But at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, then a work of deception, then everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect. So you really had no idea then, did you? The true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Drebber. I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Assman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money. When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything anymore. Poor guy. At least he's not a murderer. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Hold on. This is how he reads his notes. Just, you know. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Yes, but please go ahead. I'm very sorry. Well, it would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zeeks. My lord. The court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical. Yes, Mr. Drebber. Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena. With pleasure, my lord. Now, counsel for the defense. Yes, my lord. When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused. So, yeah, I mean, the timing is pretty good. I understand. Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. Case is already getting pretty good. 23rd October, 1:36 p.m. The Old Bailey. Defendants, antechamber. Also, the save point. I feel like this is just the logical one. Like, I don't know if they'll give us a well, they'll give us a chapter save. Right? They'll give us a chapter. If they don't, then I'll save where a chapter save would logically be. Mr. Naruto. Ah, yes? I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry. Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing? Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I have complete faith in it. Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands, so we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. Also, hey, it's been a little while. I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when it arrived. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Bruno. So, that was... She mentioned having a surprise. You little... So it would be a surprise. Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of slipped out. She's a grappler, man. Hard stop. Oh, I'm just so happy to see you. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays for emotion in future. No, there is no better display of emotion than throwing someone. Lucy's train was late into London Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh, having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm, delighted to see you, back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. Delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoba not protest? Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful. I can't wait. That's gotta be the save point. No, Susato-sama's back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Ah, yes, a turn to be continued. A turn to the save point. A turn to next week. Absolutely save progress. There we go. Cool. A pretty decent spot. Lately they've been either like way too early or whatnot. That was a good, decent one. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could do another half hour, but like, this just makes sense. Yeah. Potts. Do you work tomorrow night? Are you around tomorrow night? Because it would be fun to do another like Marvel Rivals or Path of Exile. But if you're not available, we got Ys. So I'm definitely working on that too. No worries. Cool. Then the original plan stands of Ys tomorrow, Ys Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday we'll see. It's too far in the future. No, it's all good. Ys is good, and I want to finish it before Monster Hunter. So like, you know, Thursday also. Cool. All right. That works. There will be days. Don't worry. It will be good. But I figured I'd check. Okay. We can probably work with that. I don't think I have plans for Saturday. I gotta double check and make sure nothing's happening Saturday. Friday's probably cards, but Saturday should be free. Marvel PoE. Cool, cool. I also know we're getting a new season of Marvel soon, which will bring new characters. We should be getting the trailer for the Fantastic Four tomorrow. Sometime tomorrow. I don't know exactly when. So, cool. Sounds good. So tentatively something Saturday. Ys definitely tomorrow. Definitely Tuesday. That's the plan for right now. We also have ourselves a monster, a quote, a Discord. Yeah, sending nudes. And
Objection!
gotta have the objection ended. And you have to have the no music. Both very important parts of Phoenix Wright and Great Ace Attorney. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. This has been Viper of Viperland, and I'll see you all next time.